The assumption most gardeners carry into spring is that food stops when the planting stops, that if you step away, the garden stops too. And for most plants, that's true, but not all of them. There's a category of vegetable, ones that most people overlook or misunderstand, where the harvest doesn't end when you expect it to, where one round of planting turns into weeks of food, then months, sometimes years, not because of any special technique, because of how the plant itself is built. Today, I'm going to show you 7 of them. Not theory, just real plants that keep producing, and how to use them together as a system. These 7 aren't exotic. Most of them are already in garden centers or grocery stores near you right now. What makes them different isn't rarity. It's the way they regrow. Some replace the leaves you cut. Some come back every season without any intervention at all. Some can be started with almost nothing. No seeds, no special soil, just the part most people throw away. Once you understand which plants behave this way and why, you stop thinking about a garden as a series of one-time efforts. You start building something that produces for you on its own rhythm. Let's go through each one. The first one changed how I thought about harvesting altogether. Kale. Most people harvest it the way they harvest most vegetables. They take the whole plant, or they wait until it looks done, and then it is done. But kale isn't designed to be taken all at once. The outer leaves are the mature growth. The center is the growing point. When you leave that center intact and only remove the outer leaves, the plant keeps going. New growth comes in. The same plant, a week later, has more leaves ready. It handles cold in a way most vegetables don't. A light frost doesn't kill kale. It actually concentrates the flavor. So when the rest of the garden is winding down in autumn, kale is still producing. One plant, multiple harvests, across a much longer season than most people expect. The second one requires almost nothing to get started. Green onions. You don't need seeds. You don't even need soil. The next time you buy green onions from a store, cut the green tops for cooking and keep the white root base. Place in a glass of water near a window. Within a few days, the green shoots are growing back. Cut them again. They grow back again. What most people discard after one use is actually a continuous source. The root regenerates the plant over and over. The only thing that changes is your awareness that it can. This is where most people make a mistake they don't realize they're making. Lettuce. The common approach is to wait for the head to fully form, harvest it once, and replant. That gives you one harvest per plant per season. The cut and come again method works differently. You remove the outer leaves. The center keeps growing. That same plant produces for weeks, sometimes an entire season, without any replanting at all. A single container of lettuce, grown this way, becomes a quiet and steady supply, not a one-time crop. A system. Swiss chard doesn't get the attention it deserves. Most gardeners gravitate toward kale or lettuce. Swiss chard sits in the background, quieter, less celebrated. But in terms of durability, it belongs in a different category. It handles heat that wilts other greens. It handles cold that ends most summer crops. The conditions that shut other plants down are the conditions Swiss chard moves through without much difficulty. And the harvest method is the same. Outer leaves out, center intact. Month after month, the plant keeps producing. It doesn't make dramatic demands. It just keeps going. For a garden built around consistency, that's exactly what you want. The next category is different. These aren't seasonal. Up until now, we've been talking about plants that regrow across a season. These grow across years. Rosemary, thyme, oregano, mint. These are not annual crops that you plant and replace. They're perennials. You establish them once and they come back. The more you harvest from them, the more they produce. Cutting an herb doesn't stress it. It stimulates it. I noticed this the first time I let a rosemary plant go without pruning for most of the season. It slowed down. When I started harvesting regularly, new growth came back faster and denser. These plants respond to use, and most of them need very little space. A single container on a balcony or windowsill is enough to keep them going. Fresh herbs, continuously, from something that takes almost no ongoing effort to maintain. This one requires honesty about time. Asparagus is a perennial that takes 2 to 3 years to establish before you harvest from it properly. That's a real commitment. Most gardeners hear that and move on. But what comes after the establishment period is different from almost anything else you can grow. An established asparagus bed produces for 15, sometimes 20 years. Every spring, the spears emerge from the same crown, same location. No replanting, no starting over. Just a plant coming back on its own schedule, year after year. That's not a crop. That's infrastructure. If you have any space where you can leave something undisturbed for a few years, asparagus is worth the wait. The final plant is often underestimated because of the patience it asks for up front. Rhubarb is a perennial. Like asparagus, it takes a season or two to establish. And like asparagus, once it's in. Every spring, the stalks return from the same crown. No replanting, no new seeds. Just the plant coming back, because that's what it does. Established rhubarb doesn't need much. Consistent moisture, reasonable soil, and the space to be left alone. What makes it valuable in a long-term food system isn't the flavor, though that's distinct. It's the reliability. A plant that comes back every year without intervention is a plant that works for you while you're doing other things. Now look at all 7 together. Kale producing through colder months. Lettuce and Swiss chard cycling on a cut-and-come-again rhythm. Green onions regrowing on a windowsill. Herbs established in containers, harvested regularly. Asparagus and rhubarb coming back every spring from the same crowns. These aren't separate decisions. They're one system. Each plant fills a different window. Each one removes a different constraint. Together, they create something that feeds you across seasons, without requiring you to start over every time. This is the difference between treating a garden as a series of events and treating it as a structure. A structure produces continuously. Events produce once, then stop. Once you build around plants that regrow, the effort you put in compounds. Every harvest that doesn't require replanting is time returned to you. Every plant that comes back next season is leverage you built this season. Most gardens are built for single harvests. Plant, grow, take, restart. These 7 break that pattern. You don't have to rebuild the system every season. You build it once, carefully, deliberately, and then you maintain it. And over time, it produces more with less effort than anything you replant from scratch. That's the real shift. Not growing more, growing smarter. Building something that works on its own rhythm instead of requiring constant intervention. Start with one of these. Just one. Watch what it does across a full season. And when you see it produce past the point where you expected it to stop, you'll understand why this approach changes the way you think about a garden. Which of these 7 are you already growing? And which one are you adding this season? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if this changed how you're thinking about your garden, subscribe. There's more on building a food system that works across seasons, not just one at a time.